Hello everybody, welcome back to Bootstrap Workbench. I know it's been a while. In fact, I was looking at my list of videos on YouTube and I could see that I made the original Common Problems video on the Icom 7300 8 years ago. So I wanted to do a quick follow-up and we could talk about what's changed since then. So if you've watched my original video, you'll know that the big common issue that I talked about is under the connectors menu that data off mod would get changed. So they've given us a couple of options here. They've added a few things in firmware updates. So one of them is that on the menu now we have mic and USB available. Now what that can cause though is if you're running digital modes and you have the mic attached, then it is possible to send mic audio out while you're sending your digital audio. So I still prefer to switch back and forth between mic ACC and USB. Now the way that I do that, and this is another thing that they've brought in with a more recent firmware update, is under menu you have a preset. And what that allows you is there's multiple slots that you can fill with settings. So, like normal, it's basically you set the settings on the radio and you save it. And then you can have it loaded. So I could come in here and unload that setting and then load my FT8 preset. And if we go back and look on our connectors menu, you'll see that now data off mod is set to USB. That gives you a quick way to switch back and forth between different input sources on the radio. Now, one thing to be aware of is that it does not change any of your function settings. So if you want to, say for instance when you're running single sideband, have a preamp on, AGC on, notch on, noise blinker set to auto, noise reducer on, and you switch to a different preset like your FT8 preset, or maybe you don't want that stuff set up, you'll have to go in and manually turn that stuff off. That's a little bit of a downside, but it's not awful. And then really, other than that, resetting the radio is still a decent choice if you run into a state that you can't seem to get out of. Maybe you've changed a setting or you suspect that something is wrong with the radio, like for instance maybe you're not getting power out like you think you're supposed to be getting, or something else is going on, then you can reset the radio and see if the condition goes away. It's still a great idea to have your settings saved to a card, but you may not necessarily want to restore them. Like for instance, if you have your settings saved, you reset the radio and it fixes the issue, you might restore your settings and then be right back in the same issue. And in that case, you'd have to abandon your settings and kind of reset the radio up from scratch. But in my experience, that's not a common thing. I don't see that very often. Other than that, the 7300, even 8 years on, 9 years on from when I originally purchased it, still a great radio. I am looking forward to the new Icom 7300 Mark II. I don't know if I'll be getting one. I'm thinking about it. It's either that or I'll get a 7610. I haven't quite decided yet, but let's see where that goes. And if there's some really compelling things about the 7300 other than what's already known, then maybe I'll go ahead and get one. I do like the fact that it has a USB-C connection, that it has a network jack to set up your RSBA1 server, that it has your receive antenna connections. All of that stuff all looks great, but we'll have to see how that washes out once the radio is actually released. And just like with the 7300, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but when I was looking to get an HF radio, I was looking at the FT991 or the 7300, and I was leaning more towards the 991, but what I ended up doing is going to HRO Plano, and I sat down with both radios and tried them out. And that's when I decided that I wanted to get the 7300 because I liked the menu system and the way that the 7300 worked a little bit better than the way that the 991 worked, which I think, having had 8-9 years of experience with the radio, I feel like that was a really good decision. Now, I also have a 7100 here in the shack, which usually what I'm doing is I keep the 7300 set up for single sideband use, and the 7100 I have set up specifically for digimode use, specifically FT4 and FT8. That's most of what I'm doing these days, although I'm trying to get back into single sideband. And I think I'm going to start doing some videos on the 7100 as well. I know that's an older radio, even older than the 7300, but I still feel like it needs a series on how to configure some things. There are some hitches there as well. In fact, if you'd like to see me make a video series on the 7100 like I made on the 7300, go ahead and hit the like button or let me know in the comments, and I will get started on that. We're going to go ahead and continue on doing other things as well. We're going to do antenna projects. I need to get my 6-meter Moxon that I use for meteor scatter. I need to get it down and work on it. I was actually going to do that video today. I walked outside and it looks like it's about to storm, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to mess with stuff that's up in the air while we've got a thunderstorm on the way. I've already been struck by lightning 3 times and I don't need that experience again. That's why we're in here, so I've bumped that one out to next week. That should be next week's video. And I've got some towers to put up out here. I've got some Roan 25G, some Roan 45G, and a bunch of other stuff that I've got planned. I'm still looking at doing the rhombics. It took us longer to get moved out here than I thought it was going to. We are in place. Now granted, we're living in a park model trailer, and I'm very limited on space, but we are making progress. I'm going to be building us a home out here. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on the ham radio projects, because you got to have something to do in the downtime. Now, I also have another channel that I'm working on where I do retro computing stuff. So I know I used to do some retro computing stuff here. I've moved that along. That channel is called Retro Computing Ranch. Come on over, check it out, see if there's anything you like there. If you want to just stay here for the ham radio content, that's great too. So, I think that's going to pretty much cover it for today. If you have found this video helpful, please leave a like. Make sure you share and subscribe, and stay tuned for future episodes because we've got more content coming. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.